The Last Lumen. Chapter 1, The Dying Light. The ship shuddered, alarms screaming as it plunged through Earth's atmosphere. Kiara clutched the cracked console, her luminous skin flickering with pain. Every jolt sent fresh agony through her broken wing. She'd escaped the hunters, but at a terrible cost. The ship hit the ground with a bone-jarring crunch, darkness swallowing Kiara as consciousness slipped away. Adrian hunched over his microscope, the quiet hum of his lab a comforting rhythm. A sudden boom shook the small cabin, shattering the tranquility. He rushed outside, heart pounding. The forest clearing was ablaze with an eerie light. Adrian cautiously approached, drawn by the mesmerizing glow. In the center of the wreckage lay a figure, their skin shimmering like moonlight. Kiara stirred, her eyes fluttering open. She saw a blurry figure above her, their features obscured by the night. "Help," she whispered, her voice raspy. Adrian knelt beside her, his scientist's curiosity battling his fear. "Who are you?" he asked, gently probing her injured wing. Kiara winced, pain clouding her vision. "Kiara," she managed, "last of the Lumen." The name meant nothing to Adrian, but the fear in her eyes was universal. He carefully lifted her, the ethereal glow of her skin illuminating his face. In his small cabin, Adrian worked tirelessly, tending to Kiara's wounds with a makeshift medkit. She watched him, her eyes wide with a mix of gratitude and apprehension. "What happened to you?" Adrian asked, breaking the silence. Kiara hesitated, unsure if she could trust this stranger. "Hunted," she finally said, her voice barely a whisper. "For my light." Adrian frowned, his scientific mind trying to grasp the implications. "Light?" Kiara's skin pulsed with a soft radiance. "We are the Lumen," she explained. "Our bodies create energy. They want to steal it." Adrian's heart ached for this vulnerable creature, so far from home. He made a silent vow to protect her, even if he didn't fully understand the danger she faced. As the first rays of dawn crept through the window, Kiara finally drifted into a restless sleep. Adrian watched over her, the strange glow of her skin casting dancing shadows on the walls. He knew their lives had changed forever, but he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Chapter 2, Sanctuary's Glow. Sunlight streamed through the cabin window, painting the worn wooden floor in warm hues. Kiara stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. She blinked, adjusting to the light. Aching, she tried to sit up, only to wince as a sharp pain shot through her injured wing. A gentle hand touched her shoulder. "Easy." Adrian's voice was soft, reassuring. "You're safe here." Kiara looked at him, her eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and gratitude. He was different from the beings she was used to, with his smooth skin and curious eyes, but there was a kindness in his touch, a warmth in his gaze that eased her fear. "Where am I?" Kiara asked, her voice still raspy. "My home," Adrian replied, offering her a steaming mug of herbal tea. "A small corner of Earth." Earth, a name that whispered of myths and legends in Lumen folklore. A sanctuary, untouched by the conflicts that ravaged the rest of the galaxy. Kiara sipped the tea, the warmth spreading through her body. "Thank you," she said, her voice stronger now, "for saving me." Adrian smiled, a genuine warmth radiating from him. "You're welcome," he said, "but I still don't understand. Who are you? What happened?" Kiara hesitated, unsure of how to explain her world, her people, to this kind stranger. But she could sense his sincerity, his genuine desire to help. "I am Kiara," she began, her voice barely a whisper. "The last of the Lumen." Adrian's eyebrows furrowed, intrigued. "Lumen?" Kiara nodded, her skin glowing softly as she spoke. "We are beings of light. Our bodies create energy, the lifeblood of the galaxy, but it has also made us a target." Adrian listened intently, his scientific mind piecing together the fragments of her story. He understood now why she had been hunted, why her light had been seen as a threat. "Lumina Corporation," Kiara continued, her voice trembling with anger. "They want to control our energy, to use it for their own greed." Adrian's heart sank. He knew of Lumina Corp, the vast, faceless entity that held sway over countless worlds. Their reputation for exploitation and ruthlessness was whispered in hushed tones across the galaxy. Kiara looked at Adrian, her eyes pleading. "They will come for me," she said. They won't stop until they have my light. Adrian reached out, taking her hand in his. They won't find you here, he said, his voice firm. I won't let them. A wave of relief washed over Kiara. In this humble human, in this quiet corner of Earth, she had found not just sanctuary, but a flicker of hope in the darkness that threatened to consume her. Chapter 3. Whispers of the Void. The cabin was bathed in the soft glow of Kiara's skin as she slept. Adrian sat hunched over his computer, the screen illuminating his face with an eerie blue light. His fingers danced across the keyboard, searching, digging, following the digital breadcrumb trail that led deeper into Lumina Corporation's dark secrets. Kiara stirred, her luminescence flickering with a troubled rhythm. She opened her eyes, the glow casting long shadows on the ceiling. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. Adrian looked up, his eyes shadowed with fatigue and worry. "Trying to understand," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Understand what?" Kiara propped herself up on her elbows, the bed creaking beneath her weight. "Lumina Corp," Adrian said, turning the screen towards her. "They're more than just an energy company. They're a galactic empire controlling resources, manipulating governments." Kiara's eyes widened as she scanned the information on the screen. Reports of exploited planets, silenced protests, and mysterious disappearances painted a chilling picture. "They're not just after my light," Kiara said, her voice shaking. "They want to control everything." Adrian nodded grimly. "They're building a weapon," he said. "Something powered by Lumen energy. Something that could destroy entire worlds." The cabin fell silent, the only sound the crackling of the fire in the hearth. Kiara stared at the flames, her light dimming as fear crept into her heart. "I have to stop them," she whispered. Adrian reached out, his hand finding hers. "We will stop them," he corrected, his voice firm. "But how?" Kiara looked at him, her eyes searching his face for answers. Adrian took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. "We expose them," he said. "We show the galaxy the truth." "But who will believe us?" Kiara asked, doubt clouding her voice. "We'll find proof," Adrian said, his eyes gleaming with determination. "We'll find evidence of their crimes. We'll make them listen." Kiara squeezed his hand, a spark of hope igniting within her. "Together?" she asked. Adrian nodded, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Together," he confirmed. The fire crackled in the hearth, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. In the small cabin, two unlikely allies forged a bond of trust and purpose. The whispers of the void had spoken, and they were ready to answer the call. Chapter 4. Flight into the Nebula. The old freighter rattled and groaned as it ascended through the atmosphere, its engines straining against the pull of gravity. Adrian gripped the edge of his seat, his knuckles white. Beside him, Kiara held onto a handrail, her eyes fixed on the viewport as the familiar lights of Earth dwindled below. "We're clear," Ren's voice crackled through the intercom. "Course plotted for the Nebula. Hold on tight, folks." The ship lurched forward, accelerating into the darkness of space. Kiara gasped, her body pressed against the seat as they hurtled through that void. Adrian reached out, his hand finding hers. He squeezed gently, offering silent reassurance. Hours stretched into what felt like days as they traversed the vast expanse of space. Zara, hunched over a console in the cockpit, kept a vigilant watch for Lumina Corp. Patrols. Ren, a seasoned pilot with a gruff exterior and a heart of gold, expertly navigated the treacherous currents of the nebula, the swirling gases painting the viewport in a psychedelic dance of colors. "Almost there," Ren announced, his voice tinged with excitement. "Kai's sanctuary is just beyond this next cluster." Kiara's eyes widened with anticipation. Kai, the enigmatic environmental activist they had contacted through Zara's secure channels, was their only hope for refuge and guidance. The freighter emerged from the nebula, a tranquil oasis of lush greenery and shimmering waterfalls appearing on the viewport. The ship descended, landing softly on a grassy clearing. As they disembarked, a figure emerged from the trees. Kai was tall and lean, with weathered skin and eyes that sparkled with wisdom. He greeted them with a warm smile, his voice a soothing balm to their frayed nerves. "Welcome, travelers," Kai said, extending his hand. "I've been expecting you." Kiara and Adrian exchanged glances, a mixture of relief and apprehension swirling within them. They followed Kai into the sanctuary, a hidden haven nestled within the heart of the nebula. Inside a dimly lit cavern, Kai revealed a series of ancient carvings depicting the Lumen, their bioluminescent forms radiating light and energy. Kiara gasped, recognizing the symbols and patterns as echoes of her own forgotten heritage. "These are Lumen prophecies," Kai explained, his voice reverent. "They speak of a time when the Lumen's light will guide the galaxy through darkness." Kiara's heart pounded with a mixture of awe and fear. Could she, the last of her kind, fulfill such a monumental destiny? "You are not alone, Kiara," Kai said, his eyes meeting hers. "The galaxy is waiting for your light." Chapter 5. Luminescence Rising. The cavern hummed with a nervous energy. Zara's fingers flew across her console, her eyes darting between screens as she worked her magic. Ren paced back and forth, his boots thudding against the stone floor. Adrian watched Kiara, her face etched with a mixture of determination and fear. "Are you sure about this?" Adrian asked, his voice laced with concern. Kiara looked at him, her eyes shimmering with an inner light. "It's the only way," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's dangerous," Adrian countered, his heart heavy with worry. "But it's necessary," Kai said, stepping forward. "The galaxy needs to know the truth." Zara's fingers froze on the keyboard. "We're in," she announced, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. "Signals live." On 1,000 screens across the galaxy, a transmission appeared. Lumina Corp's logo, followed by grainy footage of their atrocities. The destruction of Lumen worlds, the harvesting of their energy, the weaponization of their light. Kiara's voice, amplified by Zara's hacking skills, echoed through the vast expanse of space. "I am Kiara," she spoke, her voice strong and clear. "The last of the Lumen. Lumina Corp has hunted my people, exploited our light, and now seeks to use it as a weapon of mass destruction." Her words resonated with millions of beings across the galaxy. Planets oppressed by Lumina Corp's greed, species suffering from their exploitation, all listened with rapt attention. "They cannot be allowed to continue," Kiara declared, her voice rising with each syllable. "We must stand together, united against their tyranny." As Kiara spoke, her bioluminescence pulsed with an intensity that seemed to transcend the screen. It was a beacon of hope, a call to arms. Adrian watched as the transmission ended, his heart swelling with pride. Kiara had spoken the truth and the galaxy had heard. The response was swift and overwhelming. Protests erupted on Lumina Corp-controlled planets. Rebellions ignited in the furthest reaches of space. The corporation's carefully constructed facade of benevolence crumbled like dust. Even within Lumina Corp's ranks, doubts and questions arose. Employees, once blinded by loyalty and greed, began to see the truth of their actions. Kiara's light had sparked a fire that would not be extinguished. The galaxy was rising, united in their defiance of Lumina Corp's tyranny. And at the heart of it all was Kiara, the last Lumen, her light shining brighter than ever before. Chapter 6. Rebirth of the Light. The Lumina Corp flagship materialized from hyperspace, its silhouette a monstrous blight against the star-strewn canvas. At the vanguard of their ragtag fleet, Kiara stood resolute, her bioluminescence pulsating with an intensity that outshone the artificial lights of the warship. It wasn't just her own light, it was the collective energy of her people, flowing through her, amplifying her power. Adrian stood at her side, his hand a comforting weight on her shoulder. "Ready?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper amidst the cacophony of battle preparations. Kiara met his gaze, her eyes mirroring the unwavering resolve that burned within her. "For my people," she declared, her voice ringing with the echoes of 1,000 generations. As the two fleets closed the distance, the symphony of war erupted. Energy beams lanced through the void, missiles arced and twisted, their contrails etching fiery scars upon the darkness. The ensuing chaos was a maelstrom of light and sound, each explosion a thunderclap that reverberated through the hulls of the battling ships. Kiara closed her eyes, her consciousness expanding, reaching out to touch the minds of her allies, their ships, and even the very fabric of space itself. The Lumen were not merely beings of light, they were conduits of a cosmic energy that flowed through all things. This was the power she now tapped into, a power that had lain dormant for millennia. Her bioluminescence surged, expanding outward in a radiant wave that enveloped their fleet. The enemy weapons faltered, their beams dissipating harmlessly against Kiara's radiant shield. It wasn't just protection. It was a beacon of defiance, a declaration that the Lumen would not be extinguished. With a voice that resonated across the battlefield and into the minds of every soldier and commander aboard the Lumina Corp. "Vessels," Kiara declared, "surrender! Your reign of terror ends now." A stunned silence descended upon the battlefield. Kiara's voice, amplified by her newfound power, seemed to speak directly to the hearts of her enemies, sowing seeds of doubt and awakening long-buried empathy. One by one, the Lumina Corp. Ships powered down their weapons, their hulls bathed in an ethereal glow. Kiara's light reflected back at her, a testament to the power of compassion in the face of aggression. Aboard the flagship, CEO Kale watched in mounting despair as his meticulously crafted empire crumbled before his eyes. The fear and rage that had fueled his ambition now twisted into a bitter cocktail of regret and self-loathing. He had underestimated the Lumen, underestimated the power of their unity, their unwavering belief in a brighter future. In the aftermath of the battle, the galaxy exhaled a collective sigh of relief. News of Lumina Corp's defeat spread like wildfire, igniting celebrations on countless worlds. The Lumen, once hunted and marginalized, were now hailed as heroes, their bioluminescence a symbol of hope and resilience. Kiara, Adrian, Ren, Zara, and Kai stood together on the bridge of the flagship, watching as a new dawn painted the horizon with vibrant hues. The galaxy was healing, and their journey was far from over. They knew that the scars of Lumina Corp's tyranny would take time to mend, but they also knew that the seeds of a brighter future had been sown. They would travel the stars, sharing the Lumen's light and wisdom, nurturing the nascent hope that had taken root in the hearts of countless beings. And as Kiara gazed out at the vast expanse of the cosmos, she knew that this was just the beginning. The rebirth of the light had begun, and its radiant glow would illuminate the path toward a better tomorrow.